Welcome to the Queer Spirit Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Venegoni. Here we have conversations with artists, healers, and activists who enliven the LGBTQ communities and who empower our queer spirits to flourish. Today, my guest is Amber Field. Amber is a queer, non-binary, Korean-American adoptee, singer, musician, performer, and teacher. We talk about Amber's work as an artist and activist, conducting trainings and workshops on diversity and solidarity. We also discuss the power of music and voice to spread the frequency of love in the world. Find more at amberfieldmusic.com. Hi, Amber. Welcome to the Queer Spirit.
Thanks, Nick.
So, Amber, one of the things that I know that you identify as is an artivist. And can you tell us more about what that is and what that means to you and how you became that?
Sure. I started out in my 20s as an activist and was a community organizer working on living wage campaigns, support of Oakland, work up in Chicago as well. So my early days was a lot of activist work, and I noticed that I had a lot of anger that was fueling the work. So I went on a healing journey and was studying music and spiritual practices in India and other places, and really realized that the next phase of my journey, I had to get out of activism and really attend to healing my own spirit instead of just trying to change the world. And then as I got older, it was really about using art and my music as a way of healing, but also addressing some of the social issues that, were causing my suffering and numerous other people in the world. So looking at issues of race or adoption or gender, sexuality, class, whatever it might be in my artwork, in my performance. So as I have gotten older, really being able to use my art as a tool to address social issues and to do a form of political activism as an artist. So that's why I use the term artivist. It's like an activist who's an artist.
Mm-hmm. Great. I love that. Yeah. I think a lot of artists are activists, but you're the first person I've heard to marry those words together and come up with that new term.
Right.
I hope that it catches on.
Yeah.
And you do a fair amount of different workshops and trainings that really mix those two things together.
Yeah. So one of the programs that I developed is called Free Your Voice, and it's really meant to help people sing and sound and speak their truths with more confidence. As a child and young adult, I definitely did not have a free voice, and I felt very constricted in terms of speaking out, speaking up, and just speaking my truth. I grew up in a pretty religious household, pretty conservative, also grew up in the middle of the country on a horse farm. So I felt very shut down and very different from those around me. So I don't really feel like my voice is encouraged out there, and I definitely never sang or did things like this. So as an adult, I really wanted to work on my fifth chakra and its healing expression of being able to sing and to make sound and to be heard and to speak up. So this program that I developed, For Your Voice, it uses a wide range of modalities from sound meditation to chanting, group singing, expressive art, improv performance, dyad work to help people just free up their voices and show up more confidently in the world. In addition to the Free Your Voice program, I do diversity and solidarity work. I can facilitate with a woman up in Canada, Julie Reese, and a woman down in the Bay Area, Aria Shell. And these programs are about getting together a diverse group of people and in live time, seeing the stuff that comes up from the ways that we've been socialized around race and gender, sexuality, etc., and using somatic practices and creative arts, expressive arts, to be able to artfully deal with what's happening in the room and witness each other, do a lot of holding of each other, have different perspectives and challenge each other to really show up and grow together. So, these workshops are highly transformational. They're also messy. And for me, it's the power of really getting into the body and out of the mind, which, has very clear ideas of right and wrong and my experience and your experience. So getting into the body, getting into the right brain by doing expressive arts and letting the insights and the empathy and, transformation occur from there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I also love that as we're talking about freeing your voice, that there's a dog in the background who's like, yes, speak out.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's my dog, Tama. She's playing with her ball. She's like, kick it, throw it. Yeah.
So I want to dive a little deeper into each of these a little bit more. And I haven't done any of your workshops, although I did attend a short afternoon workshop that you did and really enjoyed it and liked the work around just playing with our voice and connecting with other people. And I imagine, especially in the Free Your Voice workshop, that as a queer person yourself and working with other queer people, it can be a really powerful experience for people who have felt silenced or like they didn't have a voice for one reason or another. I know that from my own personal experience growing up queer and identifying as gay and coming out later in my teens, but earlier in my teens, as I was going through puberty and my voice was changing, I really felt uncomfortable with my voice just on a physical level, but also know that there's a way in struggling with speaking my truth. And so can you say more about how you work with queer people in particular in that workshop or around these issues?
Yeah, so, I've had quite a number of trans men in my workshops who are obviously exploring their new voices and the deepening and their range and just, their new somatic awareness of their voice. A lot of straight men who have very high voices who are, trying to figure out how to deal with their range. A lot of women who just have been socialized to not speak up, to always say yes. A lot of people of color who feel silent in white dominant spaces. So people are coming into my workshops for many, many reasons. And basically it starts with the body for me. So really we do a lot of sound meditation, just gaining awareness of how our bodies are one big sound vibration. So gaining an awareness of sound in our bodies, what that feels like, how to use breath and sound to get into places which, we might be disconnected from. So I had this one trans guy who, I saw this happen on his first day of class. I literally saw as he started to take in deep breaths into his belly and his chest, I saw his whole body expand and become 2 times bigger. And he went through a profound transformation and just the tool of the breath, because in Western society, we often are really shallow chest breathers, which just hijacks our nervous systems and causes so much anxiety. So starting with the breath and then the body and our voice, having that somatic awareness, being able to breathe properly and really, expand our bodies, and then to feel the effects of sound vibration. And then I do a lot of group activities where, we'll do things like look at each other, put our hands on each other's hearts if people are open to that, and tone together and feel the vibration in each other's hearts as we're toning and looking into each other's eyes, and really recognizing that this person in front of us, even though they have very different life experiences. In Buddhism, the Buddha talks about the human condition is 10,000 sorrows and 10,000 joys. So to see this person in front of you and to know that even though they have different life experiences, just by virtue of being human like you, they are experiencing, a lot of suffering and a lot of joy. And how do we hold compassion with the suffering, and how do we rejoice in their joys? So these classes are, a way to not feel isolated, a way to connect in with others, to really see people at different stages of their vocal journey, all growing together and taking risks and being vulnerable and being authentic and showing up and singing together, which just inherently is releasing oxytocin and, which is a bonding chemical, and all sorts of other happy chemicals, dopamine, endorphins, etc. So, singing together in group is one of the fastest ways to bond groups together. Doing sound meditations, you're coming into awareness of your breath and your body. Doing expressive arts activities where we're exploring different themes and we're doing free-form play and movement and sounding. Doing community like partner exercises where you're really connecting in. All of these different modalities are just asking people to just show up and be themselves, be authentic, witness others in their authenticity, and we all fall in love with each other. That's the medicine right there. You fall in love with each other, you fall in love with yourself.
And you've used this term a couple times now of sound meditation. Can you say more about what that is and what that looks like for people who might not know exactly what you're talking about?
Yeah, so I often use chakras, which are different energy centers in the body. So you have 7 different chakras, one in your root, which is in your perineum, corresponding with like grounding, your connection to your physical body, to this earth, to your ancestors, to your right to exist in this body in this lifetime and to feel safety and that you belong in connection with others. Second chakra in just below your belly button, connection to your sexuality, your creativity. Third chakra in your solar plexus, connection to your power center, your ability, like your will, your power, your ability to manifest your dreams this lifetime. The heart chakra, the fourth, obviously connected in with your relationships, your ability to love other beings and to receive love. Your fifth chakra up in your throat region, your ability to speak your truth, to express yourself. Sixth chakra up between your eyebrows and your third eye, your ability to see clearly, to vision, connected in with psychic states, dream states, etc. And then the seventh chakra at the crown of the head, your connection to all, feeling unity consciousness, divinity, your divinity. So in each of these chakras, being able to make certain tones, whether they're vowel sounds or seed syllables that the ancient mystics in India, when they sat there for a long time, they actually heard these different sounds vibrating in each of these energy centers. So using different sounds to help open these energy centers and get more aligned. So that's what I mean by a sound meditation. Mm-hmm. So to feel the effect of sound vibration in your body.
And you also talked about this idea of falling in love with yourself. And I imagine that doing the sound meditation can really help us tune into our own vibrations and our own energy centers to start to awaken that love as well.
Totally. And, because we are human and we are imperfect, our chakras some of them are going to be more open, some more closed, some overactive, some, underactive. Just about having the awareness, on day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis of what's happening and feeding love and acceptance. And I remember my journey as a musician. I started out and I was very angry, very shut down. My mom had cut me off for being queer when I was 20 and thrown out of the family. So I had a lot of rage at that point in my life. So when I first started on the music path and singing, I was angry and I had this kind of strained, tortured quality to my voice and a lot of rage. Started out in a punk band, and that definitely, I would be screaming lyrics out into the audience, and that was my form of healing because I needed to release so much anger and rage. But then as, I went on my journey, it went more into grief and sadness and a little more quiet. And eventually, after years of singing, I could finally access joy. But my journey of freeing my voice was really about accepting and being okay with whatever needed to be expressed and released at the time. And that was my way through. And was just to allow and be present and allow whatever needed to come out and to watch it continually transform as I allowed the energy and movement to come forward. So when I have people who are in my Free Your Voice class, people, again, are starting at all different places, and you have people who are extremely shut down, people with a lot of trauma, and then people who just already, they love to sing, they are pretty confident speaking up in the world, and they just want to sing some more. So there's all levels going on in the room, and it's about holding a safe space for everyone to just show up and be themselves and love themselves and be inspired by others and have compassion for others, etc.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Narayana
I really appreciate you sharing your path of transformation from using sound to purge your anger and your hurt to becoming someone who transmits love. And that's something that you've talked about in your writing about transmitting the love frequency through your music. Can you say more about how you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I used to do a lot of shouting and screaming and cursing in my music, which I don't do anymore. So now when I'm singing, it's really about thinking about the intention. And I might have the intention of like, oh, this is a sad song, or oh, this is a song of longing or loss or whatever it might be. And again, the human experience is full of different emotions and like anger and sadness and all of that, as well as joy, peace, calm. I mean, that's all part of the human condition. So I don't like necessarily, say like, oh, the love frequency is only one thing. It's like, quote unquote, the positive emotions. This has to be like just a happy song or something. So what I mean about like the love frequency is just really tapping into authentically in the moment what's coming up and through for me. So it might be, a song of mourning or loss or even anger or frustration or joy, but just allowing that to come through and accepting it and sending things out with the intention of healing for the people out there who, are going through grieving. They can connect in with that song of grief, and that is loving them and myself in that moment. So that's what I mean by the love frequency.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So Amber, you also do music for transitions and rites of passage, everything from birth to death. And I imagine there's also a significant spiritual component to that work. So I wonder if you can tell us more about that work and what that looks like.
Yeah. So for people who are, getting married or having a baby blessing or, funerals, et cetera, any major life transition, I come in and I play music, whether it's instrumental or I sing or I lead people in, group singing or lead people in a sound meditation or a ritual. So yeah, those are events that I do. And then in addition, if somebody is just, let's say they're going through a massive life transition where they're, ending a relationship or, getting a new job, or they just want a boost to help them, end with a certain chapter and begin the new. So people have invited me in to come in and do a rite of passage for them where they're inviting some of their community and really getting witnessed. And it might be a performance, like an improv performance, some coaching that I do with them around, coming up with some talk they want to give them or some performance or song that they want to create, having people join in for a group singing or a group toning practice. So whatever type of rite of passage where people are just wanting some assistance to birth themselves in the next place, I love to come in and do ritual like design and facilitation and create those spaces for people.
I'm curious if there are any experiences like that really stand out for you, that were really interesting or powerful.
Yeah, I had a woman who she was, I think, in the final stages of getting a divorce and was just really wanting to free her voice and like move more powerfully in the world. So her coach suggested that she create some sort of ritual and do some voice work. And she contacted me. And, you know, she actually already had a very powerful voice. And what was interesting in that ritual with her was I realized that she actually needed to soften her voice. And there was a way that she was just so angry at her ex-husband, and he could feel all of that anger. So he was putting up a lot of blocks, and they were just having a really ugly custody battle, and she's going in for mediation. And so her intention with me was like, how can I have this really strong voice with him to like get what I want in mediation and not let him run me over? And in working with her, I realized that it was really about softening, and for her to be able to look at him and just say, I am so sorry, you know, for what I've done and how this relationship has ended, and just to feed him some compassion and softening for like how hurt he was, because I think that she had left him and she had made the decision to divorce. And that was a big kind of like shift for her. And she was like, wow, you're right. I am holding a lot of anger and resentment and this and that. So yeah, that was a big surprise for both of us. Wasn't that she needed a stronger voice with him. She needed a softer voice to go into meditation with a little more compassion with them. So yeah, that was one piece that really stood out for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So Amber, I wonder if you can share with us a person, practice, or experience that has supported your queer spirit to flourish along your path.
Yeah. So, you know, one thing that comes to mind is the practice of morning pages. Are you familiar with those? Julia Cameron, Natalie Goldberg, a bunch of authors have just talked about getting up in the morning and doing 20 minutes of free-form writing where your hand just moves across the page and it's, you know, stream of consciousness. So I've come back to that practice over and over again in my life, and definitely in my early 20s when I was holding so much anger and hurt in the world about being queer and being ostracized by religion, my family, and by society. I used morning pages as a way to just blah, 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 you know, all of this feelings. And then I've come back to them at periodic times in my life. And I'm in another wave now of doing morning pages. And they're just a great way for me to sort of cathartically release whatever is in there. And then also to just allow the beauty and the unexpected memories and thoughts, feelings to bubble to the surface. And, you know, some days are more artful than others, but it's really just, again, about showing up and allowing whatever needs to come through and not judging it and just, you know, the stream of consciousness to come out. So I love that practice because it's just about trusting in the moment, trusting that my hand will know what wants to come out next, and then being okay with whatever comes out. So that's pretty much, I mean, that's meditation to me. Whether you're going to do it writing or playing music or, you know, sitting meditation, it's just about watching the thoughts and the feelings and the body sensations arise and fall, you know, go and pass and come, and being okay with. So I do have a background in Buddhism and, you know, formal, like seated meditation. I don't really, that's not my go-to. I think arts and music have definitely been my go-to. That is my form of meditation, is by playing music and allowing the emotions to come through, by writing, allowing the words to come out.
Mm-hmm. And I imagine that the writing is a good introduction for you or for other people to start with the free your voice, because it might feel safe to say the things that you want to say, get them out of your head, but you don't have to verbally say them or say it to another person. And it's probably a good first step for some people.
Oh, for sure.
To get thoughts and ideas and feelings out.
Totally.
And where can people find you and more about your work?
Yeah, so I have a bunch of upcoming workshops starting in October. Free Your Voice. There's different courses in it. There's like one that focuses on harmony, singing in harmony, expressive arts practices that looks at us and our relationships with other people, a focus on chakras, and another one on singing and drumming at the same time. So there's a bunch of Free Your Voice courses that are launching in October in Berkeley and San Francisco. I'm also adopted, so I love to do work with adult adoptees to help us explore our many feelings and stories that we're holding and, you know, transform our our life scripts into something which is more life affirming for many of us. So I'm doing a 2-day workshop in September, and then I've got a bunch of different performances. So you can find out all of this information on my website, www.amberfieldmusic.com, as well as my Facebook page, Amberfield Music, and then on Instagram, Amberfield Music.
Great. And do you ever teach or perform outside of the Bay Area?
I do. So I do work up in Canada with a co-facilitator up there on diversity and solidarity. When I travel internationally and also in the U.S., I'm often performing as well as teaching for your voice workshops, performing like concerts, live music and yoga classes, etc. So yeah, the best way is just to get on to my email newsletter, which is on my website. And every month I'll tell you where I am.
Great. Well, thank you, Amber, so much for being here and sharing your story with us today.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it.
To find the resources we discussed today, find the show notes at thequeerspirit.com. And if you enjoyed the show, remember to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. This will help us reach and support more queer people all over. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.